Okay. Well, looks like we'll be going live here in a few seconds. If you're excited, gotta get excited.
Woo!
This is,
Hiya, 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 hiya. Uh-oh.
I don't know.
That's the American Indian coming out of me. Hiya, 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 hiya.
Oh yeah, we're definitely live. Looks like we'll be going live.
Oh, woo! We're live?
All right, someone's live.
I was thinking this morning I could get a cup of coffee. And I thought that yesterday. I got up and I thought I could get a cup of coffee. And the day before that, I thought, hey, I could get up and have a cup of coffee. And every day, not every single day, but most days, I'll get up and have a cup of coffee. And some days when I don't have a cup of coffee, I feel a little bit weird. And it's like, I should have had a cup of coffee. These habits we form, are they really helping us? Are they hurting us? That's a question. Because habits, they say let's move away from our bad habits and towards our good habits. So what habits are working for you right now and what habits aren't working for you? And do you really, it's some of these habits you have, are they very harmful? And these are things we're just bringing up today to ask yourself that. The
Yeah, you
question.
can ask yourself this: Did when you went to go scroll on social media, did you mean to spend 20 minutes, or did you just start out going, "Hey, what's going on here?" And then all of a sudden you're in a trance, and then 20 minutes goes by, and you're like, "Oh, what happened here?"
The dopamine hits, dopamine hits.
So yeah,
So we
you
get
got to be mindful.
addicted. Yeah,
No,
being mindful. And being mindful, sometimes a lot of people don't know what that means. Being mindful is being in the moment, and living in now. That's mindfulness. So sometimes we live in the past or the future and we're not living in the moment. And that's where you're going to find most of your true happiness in the moment. Um, Not that
well,
you can't look back and say, hey, I had a good time on that vacation. Or did you know when people are going to have a vacation, uh, planning the vacation, getting ready for the is usually better than the vacation. The problem with that is we go back, I'm going to get off subject and then I'll come back. Is because we're expectations that it's going to be this, and we get there and it rains the entire time, or whatever. So back to where we're at, the habits are we forming each day? Are they helping us or taking away? You
so yeah, the one book that I read, Dean Graziosi, and this kind of it's like a metaphor that he used or like a story, and it basically the beginning of the book of Millionaire Habits is that there's this farm, and then there is a track because this I don't know rig goes out into the middle of the cornfield and then sprays water every single day. So there's a track. That's the habit, right? You do that every single day. But if you just pivot 1 degree, and by the time you get 30, 40 yards out, you're in a completely different area. And that's all by like a 1% change every single day. Yet at the same time, you have to take a look at where you're at now and what was the definition of insanity to keep doing the same thing and getting the same result or expecting a different results. So basically with your habits, you could change those minutely, micro changes, and then over time, you're in a completely different place. And you just have to ask yourself, what are you doing on a daily, and is it getting you the results that you want? And I don't know, I got a whole thing like written out here. So also things, do you know, micro habits, right? How is your posture, your tone of voice? Are you like sighing, or are you energetic about what you want to do? Because that'll also, you know, give you the results that you put into it, right? It's a machine. Whatever you put into it is what you get out of it. And basically something that could get you out of a bad habit is like what Jeff had. He had an alarm set up because sometimes we get into these trances and we get into these, we get into our own head, or maybe we're doing a project, and well, if you set an alarm with your AI, it'll snap you out of what you're doing and then get you back into whatever matters most to you. And it's all about prioritizing. what your goals are, and then just working towards those, and then connecting those back to your habits. Are they getting you towards your goals? Because if you're just doing the same thing over and over and over again, you're going to get the same results. And sometimes people get stuck and they don't know how to get past that, and that's why you meet up with somebody who's experienced in NLP or hypnosis, because they're trained to make other people ask better questions. Because if you're, and sometimes, if you're not looking for outside help, you're going to ask the same questions because you're not aware or conscious of what other questions you could be asking. So basically, you'd want to find somebody that's a little bit further along or where you want to be at, and then ask them how they think about things. Actually, one of my DJs was just asking me all these different types of questions where to me it's already an autopilot and already makes sense, and I've already gone down all those roads. And I was like, why is he asking these questions? Oh, because he wants to understand how I think about like an issue or a situation at hand. Because you have your own set of habits, tools in your toolbox, and then if you're looking to get results somebody else has, well, they probably have different tools in their toolbox, and you want to understand how those work. I don't know. There's
Wow.
a lot of
You
different
just
things to
went
think
through
about.
like 10 different things that you could throw out,
Yeah.
map of the world, also, you know, your habits, and they don't know what they don't know till they know they don't know, the learning. And then also what you have is unconscious competence, and they don't. And see, you've already gone through the process that the person who you were talking about hasn't, so he doesn't know what he doesn't know. And when you teach him, he doesn't know. Now he has to learn, and he has to keep learning until it becomes unconscious competence, and then he doesn't have to keep on asking. But it takes a while. The example on there is like the car. First you get in a car, you don't know how to steer, you don't know how to, you look down for you're pushing your gas and your brake or clutch or whatever you have. And but after a while, you're not even thinking about that. And when you're going home, then we bring in hypnosis. As you go in highway hypnosis, you don't know how you got there. So what the habits we want to form sometimes are the ones that are unconscious. It's like uh, the habit of driving. You gain all those things. The same way with working out, muscle memory, everything. You go in and you decide every morning, even if you feel like poo or not, you're going to go to the gym and you're going to do your best. And some days you'll do 10%, and some days you'll do 50, 100, whatever. But each day you keep going in. Persistence. That's that habit you get into. I was mentioning right at the beginning, coffee. Some people say coffee starts your morning, and sometimes it does. And then you have to figure out. There's both sides. There's always a both sides to every story. It basically, is coffee good for you, or is it not good for you? Is it helping your life, or is it taking away from your life? And then the other thing, each, like you said, micro movements, you could decide, you usually get up at 7, but today you're going to get up at 6, and then you're going to write down all the things you need to do, more productivity. And then you could still get your coffee. Or you might decide, I've had enough caffeine for a while. And then you come to the conclusion, which one should I get a better thing? What should I drink instead? Maybe mushroom coffee. I don't know. I've never had it, but you see all kinds of ads on it. No, I never have.
Are you
But
sponsored by Mushroom Coffee?
no, not at all. So I've never had it, but you always see all those little things. Like you said, dopamine hits. Seriously, every time I get on the phone, there's knowledge. I love knowledge so much. And then there's more knowledge, and then there's more. You could do this for 24 hours. Actually, you could do it all your life and just look at this phone as long as you keep it charged. Uh, because people are putting out content like we are every day. And, there's so much content. And this is where you're going to have to figure out where what's important to you, because what habits are going to help you out. That's the question. What happens? I think I'm lopsided. So let me do this.
Maybe. I don't know.
So,
So
go ahead.
the only thing that I was thinking about was like, well, depends on what the issue is, right? So if somebody wanted to work out, they would realize that, oh yeah, I better go to the gym in order to look like a bodybuilder or something like that. So it's what I found is people being able to put their pride to the side, realizing that they're there could be a better way, right? And then not just the way that you're sticking with. Because I've talked to a bunch of people, and I can explain. Um, okay, so here's the deal. A lot of people think that if you go to Google and you spend a bunch of money on a Google ad, it's like turning a light switch on, and all of a sudden you've got all these leads. But it doesn't really work like that. It's every single day making the right moves towards what your goal is, pushing your pride aside, realizing that you may not know everything about what you're trying to accomplish. And it's all right not to know. I mean, there's tons of information out there, but putting your pride to the side and then finding the right people to get you to move along. And then just looking at a situation, realizing you don't know everything. Like and a lot of people will just assume that they know things. Like I'll talk to people all the time and they'll say something like, oh yeah, I just want some laser lights. Okay, well, to me, laser lights is a whole category of questions I have to ask. Yet the person who made that sentence didn't even realize what they were saying when they said it. So again, it's like realizing that what questions are you asking? Are you asking the right questions? And are you going to a situation with what do I need to know to move forward? And that really does separate somebody who will get to move forward versus someone who will be stuck in a loop and not be able to get to the next well, they could be plateauing. And if you're asking the same questions all the time instead of like, oh, what else do I need to know? Or this is what I have on my end. Does it make sense on your end? Instead of just moving ahead, assuming just because I said something, it works that way. And then I come to find out many times it doesn't. Again, back to the example of, oh, I spent a bunch of money on Google. Tomorrow I should be on page one, right? No, whoa, it doesn't really work like that. I'll pause the camera. But and so again, it's back to your habits. Are you moving forward? Are you making the right decisions to move forward? And or do you not know what decisions you need to make in order to move forward? Or have you found the right people to like mentor you and move you along to be where you're at? Because I can guarantee you somebody who is successful probably had similar habits before they came successful in order to change their day-to-day activities.
Okay, so I think what you said in that, I'm trying to get what
Yeah.
basically
Did
is
I
that
lose you? Did I lose
I'm
myself?
hoping I'm going to ask you because assuming doesn't help us. So what I'm assuming you meant by that is that we all have habits, and
Sure.
if we do the same habit, we have to assess if that habit's working for us or not working for us. But sometimes we're so oblivious to the truth or the meaning or what we're doing, we're in a loop and we come back around and we're not getting accomplished what we want to get accomplished, even if we're going to the internet and putting out an ad. And but the thought is, are you doing productive habits? So it just because you do something, it's the same way with the coffee. Is it good or bad? I don't know. You have to make that decision. Also, in business, every day when you get up and you do a certain thing, is it really the thing that's going to work out for you best? So finding the best things, your best habits, that's what I would assume that's what you're meaning by this, is find the best habits that work for you within whatever you're looking for, and understanding if you're just looping around and not getting anywhere, you might want to readjust your habit. And that could be, you can have good habits and bad habits, not sleeping enough. You say, well, I'm going to work so hard every day. I'm going to get up at 4 and I'm going to work till midnight. So now you're only getting 4 hours sleep. So I would say to somebody like that, work to get 7 to 8 hours sleep because it'll be more productive when you're working. So that would be a habit you might want to start changing. Or again, like if you're sleeping 10 hours a day, maybe you bring it down to 8. Or, eating right, or if you are doing the same thing and you're getting a result you don't like and you keep doing the same thing and the insanity button comes in, expecting something different is not a really good idea. So that's why you would come to somebody, a friend or someone like us, to help you figure out what's the next best step. So when we break down things like that, we use the meta model, basically saying, what do you want? And also bringing in the well-formed outcome. If you want to know that, just go back to some of our other videos on well-formed outcome. I mean, and that's the same way with all your habits. Are you or habits backing up what you want to do in your life? I mean, and there could be your goals. Some could be health, relationship. See, this also goes into the happiness code too. Your relationship, your job, your where you live, what are you doing, your purpose, your meaning. Now, are you doing the habits that back up the things you want? And if you're not, that's when you assess and say, it's time to do something else. And it doesn't, like he was saying, Scott was saying, uh, micro movements. You don't have to spend 1,000 hours on each thing. You just start each doing it every day. And then how do you form a habit? Basically do it, some people say 21 days, some people say 30. In what the basically who cares how long it really takes, but just getting into that mode of uh doing that habit to generate it to be a habit. So you feel a little bit weird when you don't do it. And when you do, you feel better. So if you get in to take that bad habits, maybe it's smoking, maybe it's drinking, maybe it's whatever, and moving a little bit away from those things and going towards you want. So what do we want to move away from and what do we want to move towards? So those are some of the things you think about when you're setting your goals for your habits.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be like a 180 turn. I mean, some cases maybe. Uh, at the same time, it's like, well, this just a little bit.
Right. Sometimes it's just a minor adjustment, just like in a plane or a boat, basically they have to navigate through the waters, they have to navigate through the air, right? And sometimes it's just a little move, and sometimes it has to be a little bit more. But, and today is the first day of the rest of your life. What do you want to do with it? So when you get up
You got to
tomorrow,
be in motion.
right? Staying in motion is very important too. And also you mentioned physiology. Physiology to change the way you look and feel and change the way you move will change your attitude, how you see things too. Do you know also a thing, and this is off subject, but whatever mood you're in, whatever, if you're sad, happy, mad, happy, sad, uh, any of the emotions that come up, that's how you're filtering the world at that moment. So you filter whatever feelings you have, you're filtering the world to those filters, and sometimes they're distorted. And so that's sometimes why we assess when you make a decision to do something, was it an emotional decision or was it a thought out decision on reality? Because I don't know. I would assume, Scott, you probably got mad at one point and said something you didn't want to say to somebody, and I have too. I'm just saying that. And now, if you have a habit of yelling and screaming at somebody, maybe you want to filter what you're saying through a different filter of not anger anymore, and filter it to calm, calm, get calm and then talk to somebody instead of that's another thing we call insanity is when you're in an argument with somebody and they start raising their voice, so you raise yours higher and then they raise their higher, and if at certain this is insanity, nobody's getting anywhere. So what you want to do is bring it back down to level so you can make the right decisions.
Well, just remember you're training your brain with what you intake every single day. So if you're around a lot of aggression, that's just going to, like, what do they say? You're the equivalent of the four people that you hang out with. So if you want better habits, find better people or better or in a better situation or where you're trying to go. So we just find that next level and then find four or five people that are already at that level, and then you'll be the sixth or the fifth or something like that. So just kind of keep that in mind.
Well, there's so much on this stuff. When you bring it, it's like I'm a scatterbrain. So when you said that, the four or five people around you, are they bringing your life down or is it bringing you up? So, uh, you know, a good assessment when you're around four or five people, how do you feel every time you talk to them? When you go away from it, are you feeling that they were trying to uplift you? Were they on your side? Were they against you? Were they trying to teach you something? Assess the people
Were they
you're,
trying to anchor you in so they could take advantage?
yeah, or they are they trying to manipulate you to do stuff they want? And uh, you know, I think you've heard this fair weathered friend, you know, compliment
Sure.
that anytime, they're never there. If you would ask, can you help me? Could you do something? Would you? And they don't call you. And the only time they ever call you is if they need something. And they probably wouldn't even help you if you needed something. They would have an excuse. So anyway, back to habits. Assess
Yeah.
back to the habits. You know, people are habits, and communicating with others is the number one known thing for happiness. Is communicating and having a relationship with other people. And there might be an exception to every rule that some people are happier by themselves, but I would say very few are more happy than if they were with you don't have to have several people. But uh, back to habits is you might be get in a habit every day to call somebody just to say hey, so you can have more communication with the world. If you're a hermit. And now I'm not saying you can't be a hermit, but yet in truth, most of the time it does help to have communication with others. I don't know if you get these little things on the internet every single day. I get one, or because I guess I've got that algorithm going on. Is that you can go to this beautiful place, but you'll have to stay there 90 days or 150 days, and we'll give you
Oh
$3
man, yeah.
million.
I'm so glad I don't get many of those.
Yeah, so I get all those all the time, and I'm thinking, would because they say it's a psychological thing. Within a month, you're like, most people can't stay that long without communicating with someone. And I think to myself, for $1 million, I could.
I mean, yeah.
So I don't know. But back to habits again. You could think about your well-formed outcome, whatever that is, whatever your goal is, and then you should start
Yeah, you want to
starting
align the
those,
habits with what
right,
the
aligning.
goals are.
Yeah.
And are you really clear on what those goals are? And then once you get clear on the goals, then you can get clear on the habits because then you would want to model and modify from people that have already, achieved similar results. So,
Guys,
yeah, go ahead.
if you guys want to do a little thing that could help you out, and a lot of times because when you write things down, you're writing out of your unconscious mind. So when you're writing down some stuff, write down all the reasons, all the bad habits you say are bad. And it doesn't matter what they are. It could be drinking coffee, it could be not getting up on time, any bad habits you can think. Then, on another side of the paper or a different piece, write down all the things you are doing that are good habits and assess what the good habits are doing for you and what the bad habits are doing for you. And just like everything else, the more you focus on whatever you focus on, the bad or the good, you'll find more of it. So if you start focusing on what you want instead of what you don't want, same way with your goals, figure out what goals you want to achieve. Some people even do a storyboard. There's all kinds of different methods. You could do a storyboard. You could write down the 6 most important things each day to do. You could write down that list of what you want and what you don't want, or and then don't and you do. Oh, there was a double negative there. Yeah. So let's not focus so much on what we don't want, yet we would want to have something to move away from in what we do want. And you'll find your habits becoming better habits. And if you get into also a routine, habits are routines, but if you get in a routine, they find that you're happier. Most people, not all. I'm not doing universal qualifiers here, but
I guess if you're focused on one, making your life better, and you don't have time to focus on something else.
Well, that's in general. See, if you focus on your, I mean, that's kind of a cop out that what I do. I focus, and my focus is being as happy as I can each and every day, and that is my focus. Whatever that is to me each and every day. Now, that's because my values. So I want to be awesome at what I do. I want to be happy. I want to be kind and happy, kind, and awesome, and be free to do what I want. So that's my kind of thing, and I'm working towards that every day. It doesn't always happen though, like things come up. So I will just know that sometimes in your habits, there's a little dinger comes up, like you have to go to the doctor, so you can't work out at the time you had, so you can change that time, or something comes up, you got a kid and you got to bring them to the doctor, or you just picked up a gig, or anything. You just had a flat. So there's things going to happen, and there's always something going to come up, but it's not what comes up in your life, it's how you're going to deal with it.
Yeah.
That
Can
makes
can you find the silver lining?
Can you find the silver lining or learn something from it? Because if you've heard us before, we always say, or I always say, is that you never make a mistake, because you learn from it, and it's a learning experience, and it's not a mistake. Um, and sometimes, well, I did it several times. Sometimes it takes a few times to learn from your mistakes, which is not a mistake at all. Again, it's a learning experience, and you say, how many times do you have to do something? And this is where we get into the insanity, is how many times do you have to do something to say it's not working for you? It's
How'd
like,
that work? How'd that
how's
work?
that working for you? Now, that could be a stab in the face for somebody. It's like, how's that working for you? But Scott and I throw it at each other all the time, going, how's that working for you, buddy?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
Well, I think that's pretty much I got on the subject for today. I got a lot of things going on, some other Zoom calls and such. And well, you got any closing remarks?
again, each and every day, get up to be the best person you can be, and check on your habits. Are they working for you? Or are they working against you? And if so, flip it.
There you go. All righty, guys. We'll catch you on the next week.